Right, so it's right out.
Okay, we'll call to order the regular meeting of the Batavia City Council for Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019. We were delayed today by the Martin Luther King holiday, and there's a state law that says we can't meet on state holidays, so we had to delay till tonight. It's 7:30 p.m., so I will call this meeting to order, and I ask that you please rise for a brief invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, as we roll in on the month of January, we're ever mindful of the many challenges that the community of Batavia faces, specifically from our friends in the weather world. As tonight, our public works departments are again busy out maintaining the safety of the streets of Batavia. And certainly all of our public safety people and both the police and the fire arenas are also being called into response to a number of incidents this day. And so we ask that a special blessing be showered upon each and every one of those men and women as they go about their vital missions of serving the community of Batavia. Also tonight, as always, we want to remember those from our community who are serving on foreign soil in defense of the liberties of the United States of America. And we just ask that a special blessing be showered upon them also. As always, we ask for direction and insight and vision as we act on the items of business before us, knowing that we are here to serve a very upright community that has been blessed on numerous occasions over the past decades with a variety of things, some of which we will talk about here tonight. We are in a great town, in a great world, in a great country, and we are here to do what we can to maintain the quality of the world that we live in. We ask for all these blessings. Amen.
Amen.
Alderman Stark, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Brown.
Here.
Rosato.
Here.
Atack. Here. Stark. Here. Chanzit.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Salvati.
Here.
O'Brien.
Here.
Callahan.
Here.
Meitzler.
Here.
Molay.
Here.
Buer.
Here.
Cerrone.
Here.
McFadden.
Here.
Let the record reflect that all 14 members of the city council are present and accounted for, so we have the entire council here to conduct business, which is great to see. Moving then to item number 4, reminder to everybody to please speak into the microphone while you are conducting business, as it is being broadcast and recorded by BATV, and we want to make it easy for our TV listeners and viewers to watch and listen to what's going on. Moving then to item number 5 are items to be removed, added, or changed on tonight's agenda. Alderman Atek, as Chairman of Governmental Services, do you have anything this evening?
I do not.
Anybody else? Okay, moving to item number 6, presentation of tonight's consent agenda. Alderman Atek.
The consent agenda reads as follows. Accept and place on file Historic Preservation Commission minutes for November 26, 2018 and December 10, 2018. Building reports December 2018. Approvals January 11, 2019 payroll in the amount of $893,691.57. Accounts payable check register in the amount of $4,195,726.79. City Council minutes for January 7th, 2019. Ordinance 19-01, proposing establishment of a special service area number 65 for the Barkeye Farms subdivision. Ordinance 19-03, police surplus property. Resolution 19-0002-R, towing contract, and Resolution 19-004-R, approving plats of dedication for parcels conveyed as rights-of-way at the Deer Path Road and Main Street intersection improvement project, and Resolution 19-010-R, Albright Community Theater lease. I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Atek, second by Alderman Stark for the approval of the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Clerk, please call the roll.
Atack.
Aye.
Stark. Aye. Chanzit.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler. Molay.
Aye.
Buer.
Aye.
Cerrone.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Motion for the approval of the consent agenda is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Okay, moving to item 7 on our agenda, matters from the public for items that are not on the agenda. Do we have anybody that wishes to address the city council this evening on something not on the agenda?
Good luck.
All right. Moving then to a presentation by Batavia Main Street, and I see we got quite a group here in the front row.
Good evening, everybody. If I can, let's pull up. And, enable. I promise Batavia Main Street is not a security threat, but we appreciate you holding us accountable, everybody. Good evening. My name is Patrick James Moynihan. Proud to be involved another year here with Batavia Main Street. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, our city staff, our esteemed council, and the community at large for supporting Batavia Main Street. I wanted to take a moment tonight to take a little view at our recap of 2018 and a view into 2019 as a portion of our Main Street Minute. I just want to say thank you again for the continued support. I'll do what I can to be efficient in my conversation tonight, but also thorough, so everyone who gets the opportunity to view from home gets a true understanding of why Batavia Main Street is an entirely important component of our community. And it's exactly that right there. We view what we do as a core component of helping engage our community and to build an active audience. At the root of that, though, that is our mission statement, and that is this. Batavia Main Street is we're here to focus on the heart of our community, right? We're here to help enhance downtown Batavia as the center and the core of all the things we do, and to do so as a not-for-profit organization, and to do so focusing on volunteer leadership and dedicated energy from the community. That's what we do. Now, our vision to actually see that happen, right? We want to make sure that we have a vital downtown. We want to make sure that we continue to enrich our business community, and in particular, we want to enhance and embrace our historic elements. We want to celebrate the arts, which we have a huge community of in our beautiful city, and in particular in our downtown. We want to make sure that what we do preserves our natural environment, and of course, to do so through quality events, solid programming, and to invite everyone to understand that downtown Batavia is their downtown. There's a sense of place right here. Obviously, there's a lot of energy that goes into that, and on the other end of that, there's a lot of financial resources that make that possible. With clarity, $247,000 are raised through program revenue, sponsorship, and fundraiser events. We are grateful to have a downtown community that supports us through the special service area at an amount of $40,000, as well as a generous support from the city of Batavia, from each and every one of you who step up and believe in what we're doing, that the heart of Batavia is our downtown, and another $40,000. I want to point out that we have so many volunteers who step up, and we'll start with this lineup, which is our leadership committee, our board of directors, but I want to point out that we might be the ones who lead from the boardroom, but it is truly our community who are the leaders that make this happen. I want to point out some connections here, just so you see how many other organizations are tied into Batavia Main Street, how many other people believe in the mission and vision of our organization. Katie Drum is our Batavia Park District representative. Rob Hollis is a Batavia business owner, and certainly a beautiful place to find jewelry at K. Hollis Jewelers. John Hamill is a downtown business owner at Bar Evolution and Pal Joey's up on Randall Road. Kyle Boyce, a legacy family of leadership in our community, obviously from Boyce Body Works, just outside of downtown, but he believes, I think he is in downtown. That's a wonderful thing, the energy puts out. Darren Enger is not only a downtown property owner, but also business owner at Insurance and Mortgage Services. Kurt Hageman, also a downtown business owner at Hageman Wealth. Austin Dempsey has decided to return to our board this year, which is an awesome and amazing thing. Not only is he a downtown property owner, but also a downtown business owner with Batavia Enterprises. Melissa Mono, also a downtown business owner with River's Edge Bar and Grill. Tim Sullivan, now a new downtown business owner, again, having moved his business Neighbors magazine back into our downtown area. Nick Cerrone, thank you so much for being our city council representative. Your input and energy has been super valuable already, and we look forward to a couple more years of keeping you on the line, my brother. Anthony Esom. Now, I want to point out Anthony in particular. He was also placed as a city council, as a city staff representative. I have built what an amazing relationship with this gentleman, and I look forward to more insight from him. He is an asset to our community and an asset to our staff, and wow, you are lucky, Laura, for the opportunity to work with him. And immediately he brings energy, he brings love, and a real sense of purpose to what we do with Batavia Main Street. Moving into our leadership officers, Bob Hansen, a Batavia business owner and a long storied one with Funway Entertainment. Bill McGrail is acting as our treasurer currently. He is an active citizen as well as his family. If you're familiar with Jessica McGrail, is a downtown business owner through Dollars and Cents Bookkeeping. A dear friend of mine, and I'm super grateful that she's our secretary, Amy Moore, is an extremely active citizen. She represents the Batavia Bike Commission as well, comes with a background in urban planning and development, so she brings a real authoritative energy to our conversation. And myself, Patrick Moynihan, I'm proud to be president again here as we enter into the 2019 year of programming, and I have a Batavia business, Waveform LLC, located just outside of Main Street's area, but I will tell you, I'm located directly on Main Street, so I think my heart is in the right place for that. All of us who step up in our volunteerism is one thing, but I think everyone in this room knows that it is through the strength and leadership of an amazing staff that Batavia Main Street is as effective as it is. Christopher Faber has joined us in 2018 as our executive director, and we are grateful, absolutely grateful to have Kathy McNally to continue in leadership with us as our director of development and special events. So we've talked a lot about us there just to introduce us and welcome each of you into our circle, but it's really through this, the how, that Batavia Main Street can act and to do so with energy. We certainly view our connection with the National Main Street model, that comprehensive strategy that helps us to revitalize our downtown community, as a priority, right? It's preservation-based, it's an economic development tool, and it's a system that's been proven to work nationwide. So we are relying on the impact and the knowledge of a nationwide network, but at the same time, we're trying to do so through enhancement through local resources. We certainly are always trying to leverage and preserve any local asset we have, like we had mentioned earlier in our vision statement, through historic, cultural, architectural, as well as enterprise and community spirit resources. The how does happen, though, by these specific 4 points. I know many of you in this room have heard these 4 points, but we'll kind of revitalize our energy here around this space, and hopefully everyone who gets the chance to watch in a wider view will understand that the 4 points of design, organization, promotion, and then what we call economic vitality or economic development are our primary 4 committees, okay? Design is just that which it states up there, trying to understand how do we make our downtown a beautiful, welcoming, inviting place. Organizationally, we want to be an energy to help draw people together to make an impact for their community and for the city of Batavia. Promotion is specifically focused on our business community and trying to draw energy into downtown through our events or through special promotions, and hopefully encouraging our community and elsewhere to dive into and support our downtown businesses, both in retail, in restaurant, and otherwise. And then we'll hear, I think, a little more about this year, the economic vitality piece. That's trying to partner with each of you in this place to make downtown a place for awesome and vital active business. I want to focus up here at the right-hand side of the slide. We do all of what we do because we have great partners in this community. It is not something that we can travel on alone. So it is community involvement and trying to build a network of volunteer leadership and business leadership, as well as our other organizations, such as our Chamber of Commerce, the Park District, our library, Batavia Access Television, who makes these meetings so easily available, and a number of other organizations throughout the community, including each of you with the city, our downtown property owners, as well as then the business community. Those partnerships are the bedrock of our activity in the community. Obviously, though, it is the knowledge that we learn from our state and national partnerships with National Main Street and otherwise that give us our foundation of process of what we do. We have many action plans. Again, this year we will be focusing on 27 work plans that will be executed through those 4 pillars, those 4 committees. And in 2019, we imagine over 100,000 people making downtown Batavia the heart of this community. In 2019, there will be about 78 events and happenings that are hosted by Batavia Main Street. I want to focus on a few of them from 2018 that we believe are not only unique to us, but also energizing and vital. The Batavia Dinner Table is certainly an awesome opportunity to gather, to break bread together, to enjoy a beautiful street. River Street was a beautiful revitalization, and we want to do everything we can to focus on it. This year, though, this is something that's really special. This is certainly a unique event and a unique opportunity to gather, but this is the thing that I think matters. This year, over $10,000 were raised for the Batavia Interfaith Food Pantry because of your generous donation, your leadership, and your desire to be a part of that particular event. So we want to thank our community for that activity. We also have seen a growth in our Well Batavia and Race to Market event. I will admit that as I enter 2019, I'm personally on a diet trying to understand how I might embody Well Batavia. We're about 8 pounds down now, folks. We're doing okay. We're keeping up with it. Probably not vital right now, but when I get up there and join those ladies bouncing around on those bouncers in that upper left-hand corner, those trampolines, I will tell you there might be a few photos of me doing that this year, or video. We're not going to release that one publicly because it's terrible, but seeing the energy of Batavia businesses, people being well, gathering together and being in downtown, trying to find ways to grow and be fit is an awesome thing, and we want to make sure that we have an active and energized volunteer leadership and community. One of our larger fundraisers, and one of the ways we see all of you step up and support from our community and otherwise, is Cocktails in the Park. We have just a small video clip here that Batavia Access Television actually filmed of Austin Dempsey, one of our board members, just kind of speaking about his energy. We'll see if the sound works for us here.
So we have an amazing community that always rolls up its sleeves and gets stuff done together, and I couldn't be prouder to be a resident here. So I'm down here to support Main Street and have an amazing time and hang out with pretty much the best people in the world, Batavians.
What are you doing tonight? What are you looking forward to eating?
I have been here for 40 minutes, and this is as far as I've made it to the drink line. So I don't know what's out there, but every year I come to this thing, and I've been to, I think, every one of them. The food's always amazing, so I know the local vendors bring pretty much their best stuff, and I'm looking forward to trying everything.
Sorry about the mic move, but I wanted to try to include everybody who might be listening from live TV or the web. This is an example, in my opinion, of Batavia drawing together, having a great time, supporting our downtown restaurants who show up, and they do show up with their most amazing food for that particular event, and having a blast together. Family, right? We are not a supersized community. We are at the core a true family connected to each other through this downtown and through this community. In 2018, we did have a deep economic impact, and I want to stress this, that I think this is going to continue to grow in 2019, our focus on economic vitality. There were 8 businesses opened in our downtown, 4 businesses that retained their space or expanded. That is 15,000 square feet of space that's off the market, and that equates to 49 jobs created in our downtown. That's awesome. People can come downtown to play and have fun, hopefully invest through retail and through restaurants, but also have a great time. We did actually experience some shift and some change in 2018, and through the leadership of our staff as well as our board, I believe we got a chance to really see everybody draw together. On the left, you're going to notice that we have a brand new office space located at the corner of Wilson and Route 31 in the Newton House. We had the opportunity to see, and I believe I spoke with you in December about Paula's Couture. They decided that our spot right there in downtown at the heart, right at the bridge, was the perfect location for her business. we saw an opportunity there to literally move and get out of the way in order to see economic energy happen in our downtown. We wanted to encourage it, and I would encourage anyone who is out there listening right now, use that example that Paula has. She's seen what our downtown can be and can do, and she has taken energy and activity and stepped up to be a leader and to run her business right here at the heart of our community. As well, then, I want to point out the image on the right. We have had an awesome string of leadership. Our executive directors, I would say, are probably the best that you can find in our nation, let alone in our local community. But I want to welcome, in particular, again, Christopher Faber. I know you've all had the opportunity to meet Chris. He brings a brand new energy and background, in particular a focus on the economic development. And I think we're going to see Chris's strengths really increase in 2019 as we dream about what might it look like for Batavia Main Street to continue to grow and move forward, potentially through some other economic development engines. Who makes Batavia Main Street tick? This is complete truth. It's our business community, it's our citizens at wide, it's many, many groups of dedicated volunteers who step up, who are leaders, who take action. So what's that look like? That looks like over 2,000 volunteers donating 4,000 hours last year, and I imagine that we're going to very similarly see that type of energy this year, if not growth. It looks like they're going to let us access the video that is tied in here. This video was actually produced by a volunteer, Dean Vernon, who was a student at the time, helped capture these images. There's no audio track other than music, but I do think it shows the beauty of our community and in particular downtown Batavia. There's no doubt in my mind that downtown Batavia is the place to be, and it's a place for everyone. It's a place that I personally call home, and I'm super proud to volunteer and to be a leader in this community through Batavia Main Street. Should you have any question, would you like further information, if you want to volunteer, if there's an opportunity for you to bring a brand new idea or energy, we would welcome that, and we would love for you to reach out to us. You can reach out to myself or obviously Christopher Faber, sorry, Chris, our executive director at info@downtownbatavia.com, or to reach us by phone at 630-761-3528. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your partnership. We look forward to an amazing and beautiful year in downtown Batavia together. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you, and on behalf of the City Council, I just want to again thank you for your leadership with Batavia Main Street, and thank Chris and all those working with him to really set this place apart from a lot of other towns. I've had the opportunity to talk to a number of mayors in Illinois who some have great main streets and some have come see, come saw ones, and we seem to be one of those that's right there at the top of the game. So I really appreciate all the effort and volunteerism and just love and support of the community of Batavia, which is clearly illustrated by Main Street in and out throughout the year and all the things that you're doing. You really have become a key partner in making Batavia a great place for us to call home. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the opportunity. We're honored to serve, and we're honored to do so in partnership with you. Thanks all. Thank you very much.
Alderman Brown?
Mayor, yeah, I'd like to take the opportunity, and Pat, I didn't plan it this way, to be honest with you, but
Bob Hanson stopped over at my house over the weekend, and he asked me to drop off down here to the mayor and present it to the mayor and the city council the picture that Main Street had framed of the post to present.
Oh, that's
event.
awesome. What a great event we had last year.
Yeah, it was, the mayor, you put in the Neighbors magazine how the weather wasn't very cooperative with all the events that Main Street put on this year and some of the things that happened around town. But if weather
That one
wasn't cooperative
perfect as
with us
could
that
be.
weekend, that wouldn't have happened. So
That's right.
that's a really neat picture, and I know Bob, he worked awful hard on it. The Main Street Board worked hard on it. A lot of other people worked hard on putting that event together, the fire department, Park District. It's just a neat event. And when Bob and I were talking, he had the idea and he was going to look into it some more about maybe somehow being able to blow that picture up somewhat and identify every one of those figures that's out there so that while it's fresh in everybody's memory, anybody that was there could stop down here or wherever this happens and write down their name of who they were and where they were at.
Absolutely.
So that 50 years from now, they're not saying, I think that was my uncle there.
That's
or,
right.
I think that might have
That's
been
right.
me. So
There is something amazing about that mystery of the original image, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's
that's
in
kind
that
of the neat
original
part about
image,
it, yeah.
which is really cool. I do know my better half, Jana, is out on that ice with myself, my daughter June, and Levi. And for us, being Batavians, being Batavia residents, Batavia business owner, we look forward to that conversation. And I guarantee there will be more family members that June and Levi will add to that list. I guarantee down the line when they go, I think that guy was out there too, right?
So I thank you. I mean, it was a good lead-in that you presented everything you did tonight that, again, if it wasn't for Main Street, and I think particularly I got to really attribute a lot of that event to Bob Hanson because he was the
Absolutely.
one that really pushed for that to happen. So
He did champion it, and the committee stepped up,
Yep.
and all of you helped us celebrate an amazing moment in our history and continue to draw it forward. So thank you so much. We look forward to an awesome year in 2019 with you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm going to go up to the podium now for the next couple of things. As you see on the agenda, I've got a couple of proclamations here that I want to present and ask the council to approve, and then we're going to have some folks here who are representing both of these causes are going to come forward and share some insight about them, because both of these are very significant events in Batavia and Batavia's history. And the first one that I'm very proud of, because going way back to my first days on the city council, we had members of the city council that were very strong proponents of the then and now beloved Batavia Brotherhood Banquet, which is held every February by the churches in town, where they encourage all the men from all the churches to come together and spend an evening in brotherhood and fellowship. And it really has become, I think, a significant event in the year's history of our town. And this year marks the 50th anniversary of that first event being held. So that being the case, I'd like to read a proclamation that I have taken the liberty of authoring. And I just want to note that in preparation for this, I went back into the old records of the Batavia Herald newspaper, of which 50 years ago I was working at when this was all starting to take place. And I was able to find the names of those who, I'm sure we're leaving some out here, but the names I could find in print in the newspapers, I've included in this proclamation. And interestingly, I believe every name I'm going to read, with the exception of two, have left us. They're no longer in this world, but I think there's going to be some very familiar names of Batavia that speak well of what Batavia has always been about. So, and I'm sure that there's somebody that got accidentally left off. They didn't get coverage in the newspaper. They weren't noted for whatever reason. So I apologize ahead to whoever that may be that didn't get their name in here. But I'm very comfortable with the list of names we got here, that I've got a lot of the people who really helped bring the Brotherhood Banquet to life. It says, Proclamation, City of Batavia, whereas the Brotherhood Banquet is a proud and honored traditional annual gathering of hundreds of men from every faith group in the city of Batavia. And whereas it is our understanding that this is the only such banquet of its kind in the state of Illinois. And whereas the Brotherhood Banquet will this year celebrate its 50th anniversary with the event to be held on Tuesday, February 19th, 2019 at the Emmanuel Lutheran Church in Batavia, with its speaker for this event being executive producer Eric Groth, whose latest film, Paul the Apostle of Christ, was showing nationwide last spring. And whereas many of Batavia's most influential citizens have been instrumental in serving on the committee of dedicated citizens that plan and carries out the event year after year. Among the citizens named in newspaper accounts reporting the early Brotherhood banquets were Leif Hall, John Rothacker, Earl Marks, Roy Johnson, Earl Nelson, John Harleen, Gordon Anderson, Robert Nelson, Robert Dahlstrom, Glenn Haynes, Donald Lowe, Bruno Buckner, Glenn Anderson, Ralph Johnson, Father Raymond Costello, Reverend Gustav Lund, Reverend Gilbert Johnstone, and Monsignor William J. Donovan. And whereas Monsignor Donovan was quoted in early records about the idea of a citywide Brotherhood banquet by noting, quote, "The righteousness of the bright light of ecumenicalism is the foundation of such a grand plan as this. It sets into motion once again the spirit of the true Christian teachings throughout our entire beloved community." And whereas the city of Batavia is proud to be the home of the Brotherhood Banquet, which stands as a shining example that the citizens of Batavia are not divided by their different faiths, but instead we value that we can come together at such an interdenominational event in faith and in brotherhood. Now therefore I, Jeffrey D. Schelke, Mayor of the City of Batavia, Illinois, do hereby officially proclaim that Tuesday, January 22nd, 2019, February 22nd, 2019, shall be known throughout all of our community as Brotherhood Banquet Day in grateful acknowledgement of the 50th anniversary of this memorable occasion in the life of our town. And I correct that, it should be February 19th. So we have Alvin Harms here, and Alvin, if you'd come forward. And I will present this to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And we will present it again, I guess, at the Brotherhood Banquet, but I know you'd like to make some remarks.
I could. Thanks so much. So yeah, I have a few prepared remarks, if I may, and thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, City Council, City staff, members here in public and on BATV. I'm here tonight as chair of the organizing committee for this year's Brotherhood Banquet, together with a couple of my colleagues on the committee, Harry Pommier, and you heard his name already, Bob Dahlstrom, who was a charter member of the committee and is still with us today. Our purpose, as you've heard, is to call your attention to the banquet coming up on Tuesday, February 19th, beginning at 6:30 p.m. at Emmanuel Lutheran Church on Hart Road. And as you've heard already, this is really a significant event. It marks the 50th, again, 50 annual, and for a city steeped in tradition like we are here in Batavia, I think 50 years that's a wonderful thing. And we're planning this banquet as both a celebration of the past and also looking forward to the future. And as you've heard from the mayor already, we believe this is a unique event, not perhaps just to the state of Illinois, but perhaps to the entire United States. The banquet occurs one evening per year, and it's a time when men of all walks of life, even East and West Siders in Batavia, that used to be a difference, can gather together to celebrate a common faith, share and grow in their desire to be positive role models, and be men of honor, dignity, and decency. And I think you would all agree that in this day and age, such qualities are really needed in our country. Our purpose statement says that the Men's Brotherhood Banquet is, my word unabashedly, a Christian gospel-based evening offering fun, fellowship, and inspiration to men living in or near Batavia. It's a unique opportunity for men of all ages to come together for one evening to share our common Christian faith and celebrate being men. And as a secondary goal, any proceeds, any extras from the ticket sales are used to support local human care agencies. Attendees of past banquets have been privileged to hear an inspiring message from a variety of local men of note. Some of Batavia's own sports celebrities. You may know the names Kenny Anderson, or Dan Issel, not to mention Batavia High School former athletic director Mike Gasperi and Mooseheart's Gary Erweiler have addressed the assembly. We've had many other notable figures from TV and radio, from the entertainment field, from sports, public service, and ministry leaders. They've all spoken to us in various years. And Mr. Mayor, we also recognize the fact that you have been our keynote speaker 3 times, dating back to 1983 on roughly a 12-year cycle. And by my calculations, we're due to have you again very soon if you're willing to grace us with your presence. As you heard, this year's speaker is also local to the Tri-Cities, Eric Groth. He's distinguished himself as a feature film movie producer of the movie Paul, Apostle of Christ. And as part of our celebration of this year, we will be offering a free screening of that movie next Monday night at 6:30 p.m. at the Batavia Public Library. Unfortunately, we cannot provide the popcorn, but we hope that all members of the community would join us. And if you haven't seen that movie yet, or if you're interested in seeing it, please join us in the community room for a free screening. Many years, we honor a man who regularly attends the banquet, who makes a positive impact in the community, and also demonstrates a humble, a servant attitude. And we give away what we call the Leif Hall Award in honor of Leif, the banquet's founding father. Past honorees still living are going to be our special guest this year, and Mr. Mayor, as our recipient in 2005, you, along with all the other past recipients, are recipients of complimentary tickets this year. We'll take the $25 if you want, but not expected. As I said, proceeds from ticket sales are given back to support local service organizations. Some of those include Valley Sheltered Workshop, RSVP, Suicide Prevention Services, Living Well, the Batavia Interfaith Food Pantry, Lazarus House, and the St. Vincent de Paul Society. So in conclusion, tickets are available. They're $25 each. They're available from any of us and from most of the local churches. For those who want more information online, on social media, we do have a Facebook post. We also have a website, Batavia Brotherhood Banquet. That's all one word, .org, Batavia Brotherhood Banquet.org. So again, thank you for the opportunity to publicize this milestone. Thank you for the proclamation. It is a uniquely Batavia event, and we extend an invitation for any of you who would like to attend. We look forward to a full house and a continuing run for many more years. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, in our second item on the agenda, we have another very unique proclamation that I'm going to read. And this one brings probably one of the more significant historical events in the history of Batavia. Happened 150 years ago this coming Saturday. And that was, we were visited by a then aspiring author and lecturer from America by the name of Samuel Clemens, later to be known as Mark Twain. And he was here on January 26, 1869, and he came in from on the train from Marshall, Michigan, and according to Steve Lusted, who was our local train historian, who I asked him one time to figure out for me whether Samuel Clemens could come from Marshall, Michigan to Batavia in one day on the train. He was able to prove to me exactly when it was and where it was. And Samuel Clemens arrived in Batavia at the site of the old Depot Museum's location over at South Van Buren and Webster. And that museum was, or that building was later moved to downtown Batavia and is now our community museum across the pond here. So we know that one distinguished train visitor that arrived at that depot was Samuel Clemens. So we're not sure, unfortunately, we're not totally sure from a historical perspective where Mark Twain, Samuel Clemens, gave his lecture that night. What happened, though, while he was here, he was courting a young lady in Fredonia, New York, who was many years younger than he was, but he subsequently ended up marrying this young lady. And he wrote her a love letter, I believe, every day. And after everybody in that family had passed away, the love letters ended up in the possession of the University of Southern California. And one day, many years ago, I'm upstairs and the phone rings, and it's a historian from the University of Southern California announcing to me that they were going to publish all of Mark Twain's letters in a book, and that they wanted exterior information about what we could tell them about the day that Mark Twain came. And then he proceeds to read to me this letter that Samuel Clemens had written about Batavia, and he opens the letter, and he's not very complimentary, I would describe it, in his remarks about what he saw in Batavia on a dreary, ash-coated, snow-filled, ash-coated day in 1869. But as he went to his lecture, and he got really inspired, and he ends up at the end of the letter, because he wrote it in 2 different time periods that day, this love letter to his future wife, he writes very inspiring things about Batavia later in the letter. So he left here, I think, feeling good. Next day, he got up and got on the train again. I believe Steve figured over here at the Northwestern Station on that Water and Wilson Street, and ended up going on the train out to Freeport, Illinois, where he gave a lecture that night. So he went from Marshall, Michigan to Batavia, Illinois to Freeport, Illinois. And we know this was his route. It was a published route of his agenda of his lectures, and he did appear here. So our friends at the Batavia Public Library, under the leadership of Mr. George Sheets, who's in the audience, has taken great interest in this, and you only have to go to the stand at the front door of the Batavia Public Library and see Samuel Clemens sitting on the bench as you come in the door to appreciate that one of the foremost authors of America is in full-size statue there, and he's there because he was in this town giving a lecture. And I braggingly rub this into the bones of some of my neighboring mayors that they don't have a Mark Twain visit in their history, but we do in Batavia. So this is an event that we very, very much are proud of. So the proclamation reads, whereas in November of 1868, Samuel Longhorn Clemens, alias Mark Twain, launched a major lecture tour, The American Vandal Abroad, which recounted his adventures on the very first major pleasure cruise across the Atlantic in U.S. history. The performances were a rousing success, and whereas as part of the tour, Clemens, then 33 years old, gave an evening lecture to a crowded house, as described in the Aurora Beacon in Batavia on Tuesday, January 26, 1869. And whereas, unfortunately, the crowded house was not named, but it could have been the Revere House, which regularly accommodated large audiences for events, or the Assembly Hall at the West Side School, or Dorn's Hall in the 3rd floor of the Dorn Block, or in several other public building and gathering places in Batavia at the time. And whereas the short-lived Batavia Lecture Association sponsored the lecture course, which included Twain, who was then anticipating the publication of the book The Innocents Abroad in July of 1869. And whereas there is commonly held yet erroneous belief that Clemens was not overly impressed with Batavia solely because of his excerpts from the beginning of the letter to his soon-to-be fiancée, Olivia L. Langdon, today this sad-looking village, quoting him, makes me feel ever so friendless and dreary, end of quote. And whereas, in fact, in the balance of that sentence proves otherwise, he goes on to say, and behold, the picture of you is so overwhelmingly friendly and rises so hard to come out of the case to me that I grow content and glad again in spite of this sad village and its somber surroundings. I won't part with that picture for all the world. And whereas Twain was then using contrast, a rhetorical device, to highlight and emphasize the differences between his so-called dreary surrounding, Batavia simply a coincidence of location and time of year, and the light of his life, Olivia, represented by the photograph she had recently sent him, in order to make his argument stronger and more memorable. And whereas One Book, One Batavia, a community-wide reading program, was launched by the Batavia Public Library in 2003 with the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, a homage to Mark Twain, and whereas Clemens' visit is commemorated as well as a statue at the library's entrance given by the Swanson family in honor of the longtime library director, Miriam H. Johnson. And whereas the sesquicentennial of Clemens' evening lecture to a crowded house in Batavia on January 26, so marks the year 2019 as the 150th anniversary of his visit to Batavia. And whereas the Batavia Public Library, the Batavia Park District, the City of Batavia, the Batavia School District 101, and the Batavia Depot Museum and Historical Society are working collaboratively to plan activities and pop-up events to celebrate this milestone throughout the year. Now, therefore, I, Jeffrey D. Schelke, Mayor of the City of Batavia, Illinois, in recognition do hereby proclaim 2019 as the year of Mark Twain in Batavia, in the City of Batavia, Illinois, and I encourage all citizens to celebrate this auspicious milestone in Batavia's illustrious history. And I further encourage the use of the hashtag Mark Twain in Batavia on social media to make it possible for others to easily find this particular theme. And signed by myself. I'd ask for a motion of approval of the proclamation.
So moved.
Motion, second?
Second.
Second. Clerk, call the roll.
Atak?
Aye.
Stark? Aye. Jansit?
Aye.
Wolf?
Aye.
Salvati?
Aye.
O'Brien?
Aye.
Callahan?
Aye.
Meitzler?
Aye.
Malay?
Aye.
Ewer?
Aye.
Saron?
Aye.
McFadden?
Aye.
Brown?
Aye.
Rosado?
Aye.
Motion's approved, 14 yes, no no's, none absent. We have George Sheets here, and George is going to come up and share with us. I'll present to him the proclamation first of all, but then you're going to share with us some anecdotal events of, thank you. Give you that.
Thank you very much. Well, thank you. It's always a pleasure to learn more about the story behind the story from our mayor. It's sort of like page 3 of the event. And we're excited about the year of Mark Twain in Batavia. We are working to produce various events throughout the year. We've got some exciting plans that are in the works, but the contracts have not all been signed, the agreements have not all been made, so there are some things that I can't reveal yet, but I will say we have a very interesting presentation on the Innocents Abroad at our Books We Invite series this coming October. We currently have a book display all about Mark Twain, books by him and about him at the library this month in January. And I encourage you to keep your eyes open for various events sponsored by the library and the Park District and the Historical Society and the schools as we move throughout the year to celebrate this fabulous event from 150 years ago. So thank you very much for all your consideration.
Thank you, George. I just want to publicly thank you for your leadership at the Batavia Library and also the library staff for really putting a beat on this thing and bringing it forward as something that I think many people in Batavia were totally unknown that this had taken place. And I've had some other visiting mayors from the area in here recently, and I whip them through the library parking lot and I point out the statue. And I had one of the mayors from one of the well-known towns in the area look at that and say, well, you got me beat. I can't top that story in my town. I'd so tell who it was, but I don't want to embarrass anybody. Anyway, I think really it speaks wonders about Batavia's proud appreciation to its history and the great things that have happened here. And quite honestly, and I'm bragging here, but if you put us and our history up against any surrounding community, we can nail them almost to the wall time and time again with things we've had happen here that nobody else has had. And, there's story after story after story of fabulous trivia of things that have taken place in Batavia, and this is certainly one of them. And so thank you for keeping it alive and bringing it more to the forefront. I think the generation that we now have in this community is very excited and appreciative of what is being brought forth to kind of showcase the history that Batavia really does enjoy.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think it's worth noting that while we often forget in the 21st century that in the early years of Batavia in the 19th century, this was a community that was very focused on education and culture, and there were several different lecture series over the years. The following year, an organization that helped start the library had a lecture series that brought people like Susan B. Anthony and others to the community. Frederick Douglass spoke in this community at one time. Batavia was really at the forefront of that kind of interest in the Great Lyceum movement of the 19th century. And really, I think, as you point out, perhaps put some of its neighboring cities to shame in that respect. And the library's origins date back to 1866 and were prior to there even being a tax-supported library, and our library service is, I believe, the third oldest in the county, and that's something to be very proud of. So Batavia has a long, illustrious history, and I think many of us just don't always realize that. So thank you for helping me bring that to the forefront.
Thank the library for your partnership in helping to tell the story along with the Historical Society, because, you know, the presence of the Batavia room there and all the documents that are available to the public there, and your work in helping to catalog the old newspapers in town so they're going to be available to people to read worldwide. It's just a fascinating amount of history that we've got going here. Again, that we kind of wear it all by ourselves because not many others can come anywhere near what we've got going here. So,
thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to, as long as we're talking about that, this picture that Bob Hansen had done, as all of you know, this was done because it was the 60th anniversary of the publication of the Saturday Evening Post front cover. It was done by an artist by the name of John Falter, showing the ice skating in the Batavia downtown pond in January of 1958. And that's quite a classic piece. Again, I don't think there's another town in the area that's got a Saturday Evening Post to their credit. And so one of the things I think I want to do here, again, I'm bragging, but I've got some copies of the cover up in my office. I think I'm going to have one of those framed. I've got it already up in my office, but I think we'll put this up in the council chambers along with the original copy of the original Saturday Evening Post cover, and then put a little plaque about it so when people come in here to visit, they can see, a unique piece of Batavia history, well illustrated in what we did here. So, Alderman Brown mentioned about how everything we seemed to do last year with Main Street or the chamber or the high school or whatever, it was always a bad weather event. Everything except for this, and this was held on a day when it was about, 10 above. It wasn't very warm. It was really cold, but the weather was pretty nice and allowed the fire department to raise the tower ladder, and Mark Foster and a few other folks got to go up there and take some really great shots of this. So these will be around 100 years from now, and it'll be something that Batavians will probably look back with great memory and share that we've got this neat collection of history of this river pond in our downtown, again, unlike nobody else. So I just think this is something that we should all be extremely proud of. So, all right. Moving back to some city business, we'll go to item 11, which is resolution 19-001-R, authorizing the sale of municipally owned real estate located at 2150 Main Street. Who's got this one? Laura? Alderman Brown?
Sure, I'll take it. This was discussed at the committee of the whole a couple times. Staff came to us, and the city owns this parcel of land, which is at 2150 Main Street, and it's out on the southwest corner of Randall Road and Main Street. It's the parcel in between what used to be owned and occupied by Aldi's and Tower Car Wash, which the Aldi building has been purchased and remodeled by Crash Champions. So this parcel of land is surplus property, and we have decided that we would like to advertise it for sale. So this resolution would allow us to do that. After it goes out for advertisement, then staff will come back to us and let us know what kind of offers we have. We do have to have a minimum bid. I think it's 80% of the appraised value. Is that right, Laura?
Yes.
And so whatever that bid is or bids are, those will come back to us, and we can decide whether we would like to sell it to that interested purchaser or not. So resolution 19-001-R authorizes the sale of municipal-owned real estate located at 2150 Main Street. So I move for that motion.
So moved.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman McFadden for the approval of Resolution 19-001-R, authorizing the sale of municipal-owned real estate located at 2150 Main Street. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Atak.
Aye.
Stark. Aye. Jansit.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Resolution 19-001-R is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Moving to item 12, which is Resolution 19-003-R, accepting warranty deeds for parcels on Deer Path Road and Main Street intersection improvement project. Who's got this one?
Alderman.
Thank you. The part of this was actually approved, the plats of dedication for these parcels was approved in the consent agenda earlier tonight. This is for accepting the warranty deeds for property along Deer Path and Main Street in the area where the intersection improvement will occur out there. And there are several pieces of property. They're all listed in the memo. And this would just be accepting the deeds for those pieces of property that we need to complete this. And this is a big project that I just wanted to make sure this was on the regular agenda tonight so that we get to talk about that, so people are aware again that this is going to be occurring out at Main Street and in Deer Path to realign that intersection, make it safer, signalize it, and provide a little bit better opportunity for people to cross the street there.
Any comments or questions? Alderman Stark?
I think it was important, and one of the reasons that we asked Ellen to have this put on the regular agenda tonight is because people regularly think that nothing is happening, and they don't understand that there's been a lot of coordination between the county and the city of Batavia to get this intersection moving forward. And so, you know, it's just, we want to call it to people's attention that this is, we've not forgotten about it. It's moving ever so slowly towards getting a shovel in the ground.
Anybody else? Clerk call the roll.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion that we approve Resolution 19-003R, accepting warranty deeds for parcels on Deer Path Road and Main Street intersection improvement project.
Second.
Moved by Alderman Wolf, second by Alderman Stark for the approval of Resolution 19-003-R, accepting warranty deeds for parcels on Deer Path Road and Main Street intersection. Any further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Atak.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Jansit.
Aye.
Motion is approved by a vote of 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Moving to 13, which is Resolution 19-005-R, authorizing execution of task order number 10 with Energy Engineering Enterprises in the amount not to exceed $39,522 for the South Prairie Street Water Main Replacement IEPA Public Water Supply Loan Program. Who's got this one?
I do, Your Honor.
Alderman O'Brien?
We've, the Water Department's experienced a lot of water main breaks on Prairie Street. The water mains are 60 to 80 years old. They are 4 to 6 inches in diameter. So we are looking to authorize the task order number 10. We have a master service agreement with Engineering Enterprises. So we're looking to pass this resolution to exercise task order 10 for engineering services to replace those lines with 12-inch lines. Also inside this is we're asking engineering services, and we're also asking for Engineering Enterprises to document and put together a loan application with the Illinois Environmental Protection Agency to fund this work. And so I'd make a motion to pass Resolution 19-005R.
Second.
Moved by Alderman O'Brien, second by Alderman Stark for the approval of Resolution 19-005-R. Any discussion? Clerk call the roll, please.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Atack.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Chansett.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
Resolution 19-005-R is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Moving to 14, which is Resolution 19-006-R, authorizing execution of task order number 11 with Engineering Enterprises in the amount not to exceed $275,000 for wastewater treatment plant number 1 and 2 IEPA Public Water Supply Loan Program. Alderman O'Brien, you have this one?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. Again, our two water treatment plants, 1 and 2, are due for rehabilitation, I guess, and 6 deep wells. We're looking to rehabilitate, replace some service pumps, the filtration updating. It's just about time. They're aging. So we are asking, again, another master service agreement we do have with Engineering Enterprises. We are looking to pass task order 11 with them for professional engineering services to update and rehabilitate wastewater treatment plants 1 and 2, along with their pumping facilities. And there's also some work needing to be done on some of our deep wells, I believe, could be deep wells the 3 deep wells and 6 high service pumps, excuse me. It's listed in here, one of the well numbers, but I can't seem to find it. But also in this, we are looking again to have Engineering Enterprises document and apply for another Illinois Environmental Protection Agency loan to fund this project. So I would make a motion to pass Resolution 19-006R.
Second.
Moved by Alderman O'Brien, second by Alderman Lay for the approval of Resolution 19-006-R. Any further discussion? Clerk call the roll.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Atack.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Chansett.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
Resolution 19-006-R is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Moving to 15, which is Resolution 19-009-R, execution of intergovernmental agreement between the City of Batavia and the County of DuPage for infrastructure support services. Who's got this?
I believe I do, Your Honor. The County of DuPage has invited us to form an intergovernmental agreement with them to, I guess, supply us with, in pipeline evaluation services. We have our own equipment to do this, but they have some equipment that how would I say, it's extremely specialized to do this, that we don't have that equipment. They have the staff to run it. They have intergovernmental agreements with 40 other communities. It'll help keep our costs down when we have to hire outside of our staff. It'll keep our costs down. I think it'll roughly half our cost, and it helps the County of DuPage because they're having their equipment work for them, so it doesn't sit idle. So I would make a motion to pass Resolution 19-009-R.
Second.
Moved by Alderman O'Brien, second by Alderman Metzler for the approval of Resolution 19-009-R. Any discussion?
Your Honor,
Alderman Wolf?
I think this is just another application of where, working together with another community or another county in this instance is just a great thing for us. I mean, we've got so many different things that the city of Batavia uses with different cities or in combination with other cities. And I think this is just a great way for us to save money and to share equipment or share personnel and equipment.
Any other discussion? Clerk call the roll.
O'Brien.
Aye.
Callahan.
Aye.
Meitzler.
Aye.
Malay.
Aye.
Ewer.
Aye.
Saron.
Aye.
McFadden.
Aye.
Brown.
Aye.
Rosato.
Aye.
Atack.
Aye.
Stark.
Aye.
Chansett.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Salvati.
Aye.
Resolution 19-009-R is approved, 14 yes, no nos, none absent. Okay, moving to 16, the administrator's report.
Okay, I just have a few items to share from Community and Economic Development and also from Public Works. Work on the excavation is continuing on the Windmill Landing site. You'll recall that that's the second senior living community that's out on Hawks Drive behind the Walmart. We are all ready to issue permits for the Nagel Industrial Park spec buildings once letters of credit have been submitted. Access to the Prairie Commons site out on Kirk Road by Wind Energy Pass has been established at the Wind Energy Pass intersection. The southern entrance has been closed until the roadway is opened later this year. And so we're working on also some setback issues with certain units that the builder is building out there that may cause some revisions to unit locations or property lines. We continue to review permits for the Metronet installation. An additional underground permit has been issued this week. We have received a revised submittal for the Avenue Chevrolet property. So that'll be under a staff review with anticipated meeting with the Plan Commission in late February or early March. We received plans for the replatting of the Wilson Spuler parcel that the city sold last year to Habitat for Humanity. They are now proposing a 4-lot subdivision rather than the 6-lot proposal that was previously approved. Several meetings have been held internally to review the strategic plan goals, and action plans are being developed and follow-up meetings are being scheduled. We're continuing to work with Funway on their expansion plans. There have been some signage changes and some exterior facade changes, which may require some zoning approval depending on the final designs that are selected. And staff will be working on a grant application for a community development block grant funding from Kane County in the next couple of weeks. And that would be for public improvements in low to moderate income areas in the city. We have been successful in receiving these grants before, so we hope that maybe it can help with some roadway improvements or to put in an additional sidewalk where none exists today, or to repair crumbling or failing sidewalks in those areas. In Public Works, the well number 8 rehabilitation project was substantially completed this past week, and the well has been placed back into service. We've had a tremendous amount of winter operations, and I'm grateful to hear from members of our community who compliment our teams who are out there in those snowplows, sometimes for 15 hours at a time. It always seems like the storms hit in the middle of the night, doesn't it? When all of it, and so it just amazes me how hard they work to get our streets cleared, not only the main thoroughfares, but also in the residential areas so that we can get out to work in the morning. So thanks to them. Also, there is ongoing installation of the electric utility out in the Prairie Commons developments, and you'll see some new winter banners and new LED snowflakes that are decorating our downtown. So it helps us save a little bit of money on the types of decorations that we use in the downtown area. And that's all that I have, unless you have any questions for me.
Any questions of Laura tonight? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, committee reports, Community Development, Alderman Brown.
Just a few meetings to announce, Your Honor. Historic Preservation is scheduled for this coming Monday, the 28th at 5:30 p.m. The next Committee of the Whole meeting is scheduled for Tuesday, January 29th at 7 p.m. And then the Plan Commission is scheduled for Wednesday, the 30th at 7 p.m. And that's all I have for meeting announcements. I did tell Alderman Wolf before the meeting here that I will not be at the next Committee of the Whole meeting. I won't be available, so he's going to go ahead and share that for me that evening. That's all I have.
Okay. Government Services, Alderman Atek.
And no report.
City Services, Alderman Wolf.
Yes, since we'll have a quick reminder to everybody that during the times when we have snow on the ground, if you can take a minute, dig out around the fire hydrants that are in your neighborhood and also the drains that are in the street, make sure that they're uncovered. That's it.
Okay, community or Public Utilities, Alderman O'Brien.
Nothing to report, Your Honor.
Do we have other business from the council tonight? Alderman Callahan?
I just want to remind everybody that on Friday, March 1st at 6 p.m. is the Flags and Flannel Community Barn Dinner event, which will be out at Abbey Farms. There's only 300 tickets. They are $100 a ticket, but this is all money that is going to be going towards the monument. There will be a cash bar later in the evening, but your drinks in the initial part will be covered. Music will be by Billy Croft and the Five Alarm Band. Dinner will be supplied by Team Fib. There's going to be brick sales that you'll be able to start purchasing the bricks for the base of the monument. There are going to be some auction items, some pretty cool auction items. A trip to DC with a behind the scenes, a flag flown over the U.S. Arizona, and a copy of the laws passed during the 5th Congress when John Adams was president. So some pretty cool items that we're obtaining and putting out there. You can go on the Facebook has an event site for it. Tickets can be purchased through Eventbrite. Again, that is Friday, March 1st at 6 p.m. Tickets are $100.
Thank you. You saved me from having to give that speech. Anybody else? All right. Just a couple of things. I distributed to the council at the beginning of the meeting a thing I just was sent late this afternoon by Tom Rickert, the Deputy Director of Transportation for the Kane County Highway Department, in which he's providing an update of responses that he's sent out, reference the intersection at Fabian Parkway and Batavia Avenue. As you know, you've asked me to help kind of bird dog this conversation, and as we've already discussed, the Batavia Avenue, which is Illinois Route 31, is under the jurisdiction and control of that agency, and Fabian Parkway, which is under the control of the King County Department of Transportation. And while the whole intersection is in the city of Batavia, we really aren't in control of it, so we have to seek the cooperative spirit of support. So as things unfold, Channel 2 News has taken some interest in the accident history that's taking place up there. So they had contacted myself and Kane County and said that they're preparing to do a report about this intersection and what's wrong with it and what can and can't be done with it. And so I'm anticipating that that's going to be done here sometime in the, do you know a date yet, Laura, for this?
I don't know the date that they'll be presenting that, but they were out here today interviewing our public information officer from the police department.
Well, this is kind of Kane County's update as to, you know, what they're talking about and what they see and whatever. They've indicated to me they certainly are willing to come to a future committee meeting, and they're working on some drawings and some plans and stuff right now. They'd like to get a little bit further along in that, but they want to be able to be in a position to show you what are the potentials there. Some of this gets into physically going into the Fabian Parkway Bridge and having to change some stuff around there, and that's going to get to be real pricey. So that may not be something that we can instantly see a reaction to, but they're working diligently on it. So I'm confident that we are going to get some kind of response from them about it. I mean, certainly the accident history we had there in the last several years has been very troubling to all of us, and we are going to see what we can do to make it so. Any documents I get now that respond to that, you will be getting copies of it as we get further down the road. The other thing, as long as we're advertising things, this coming Thursday night is the annual Batavia Chamber of Commerce Inspire Banquet, in which they honor different Batavia people for doing good deeds and services to the community. This year's Citizen of the Year is Georgine Koth O'Dwyer, who is the wife of the late 5th Ward Alderman Walter Koth, and it's been somebody who has been kind of behind the scenes involved in a lot of different things that Batavia is all about. I guess I'm going to be the presenter at that thing, so if you're interested in knowing more about that, I'll be giving the talk that night. But again, it's a worthwhile cause if you can find the time to stop by. I'm sure this the chamber would welcome any of you who would like to attend. The other thing I guess I'll just briefly mention is that with the advent of the new governor, there is a lot of conversation going on locally and at the state level about the legalization for recreational marijuana. And after some conversations I had with Chief Ewell, I took it upon myself to author a letter that I sent out that you all, I believe, got copies of, about what will happen if, and I'm in the letter, I believe I'm indicating that I'm of the belief this is probably going to happen, and I raised some but points about things that maybe the state should consider while they're legalizing this, that will put into law some various aspects, and I did that only after consultation and work with Chief Ewell and his staff as to what they thought would be some things that would be beneficial as we try to deal with this. I shared this with some other people in the region, and I now have gotten 3 different requests from other mayors to be sent the copies of the same letter because they would like to, as one told me, plagiarize it a little bit and put their name on it and send it to their state representatives because they think it speaks very much to the point about stuff that should be acted upon in legalizing marijuana. So we shall see what we shall see, but just so anybody says, what's the mayor and the police chief down there jumping in the fray about, I think we have some very strong concerns about, we've had a bad experience, as we say in the letter. There's been, in the past year in Batavia and even St. Charles, the Tri-City Ambulance has responded to 780 calls in which it appears that drugs in some form or fashion could have been the background. And so that it's a real challenging issue that's out there, and we just want to make sure if we're going to go forward with this, that we do it the right way and hopefully prevent some of the problems that other people have experienced. And so it's no more than that. We aren't going to be voting on it. We aren't going to be creating the law. It'll all be done at the state legislature. But we thought we would throw some input into it, and it appears that it's taken forth. And I was contacted by Senator Overwise last week after he got his and told me that it was all right with me. He wants to read the letter on the Senate floor, so we'll see where that goes. But we are getting some noise about it, so I didn't want any of you to talk to any of your constituents or other city officials in other towns and say, gee, what's this all about, and you not know anything about it. So I just thought that, and as I think we're very clear in the letter, we're not taking a stand opposing it or necessarily supporting it as much as we are raising some issues we feel should be included in whatever law is passed as to how it's going to be distributed and what are going to be the controls that are placed on that. And you'll see where this all goes. So, any other comments or questions? Alderman Stark?
Thank you for sharing this memo about the intersection of 31 and Fabian. I think what's so very interesting about this is I mentioned when Alderman Wolf was talking about the intersection at Deer Path is that the county, obviously they know this intersection is a problem. And so last year they painted lines, which was their first big step. And then, so in 2019, they're going to do some additional signage and improve traffic signal backplates. So they're going to be more reflective. And in 2021, they're going to adjust the signal heads for the lanes and put in an advanced dilemma zone detection system. So that is 2 years from now. They've already got planned out what they're planning to do on one intersection that needs minimal changes. So if you can imagine how hard it was to get everything coordinated and done for the intersection at Deer Path and Main. I think this is, when I first got on the council 8 years ago, Bill McGrath told me that government moves very slowly. And it's always been one of the things that has bothered me most because I'm always like, let's go, let's go, let's go. So this to me is just such an interesting example of how getting things done is like a snail's pace because there's so much that needs to go on behind the scenes before you see the first person out there adjusting a light signal. So I find it fascinating. So when our constituents say, why doesn't this stuff get done? It's like, it is. It's just at the pace of government.
Well, I mean, using the Deer Path and Main Street intersection as an example, that one is somewhat complex out there because not all the corners are physically inside the city of Batavia. that the northwest corner has never been annexed, and so we don't not have jurisdictional control over that. And as you know, Main Street is a county-run highway, and that section of Deer Path Road is a city street. So the county, because they have the traffic number on their street versus Main Street has a lot more cars than Deer Path Road, they have assumed the position of lead agency on this, and we've secured a federal grant of, I believe, $1,850,000 to help pay for that intersection and that light. And, you know, there's a lot of different people that had to come to the table and get involved in that. Holy Cross Church was a key player in it, and I will say I think they have been very cooperative and properly community spirited in what they've been trying to do with us on it. So you're right on when you say it takes time, but there becomes very complex complications in a lot of this stuff as you try to move forward with it. And I know the Fabian and 31 one is very complex because now we're out in the middle of the Fox River on a bridge that the county owns that is going to be hard to widen and alter without significant amount of money. And all this is being thrust upon us at a time when government is being challenged at every level about, are you raising my fees or my taxes or whatever? And we are told that there is this huge backdrop of unexpended, necessary, identified road projects throughout the entire state of Illinois. So you can't like run to Springfield or any place and say, well, this is the project that you need to put at the top of the list. Because I can assure you there'll be 400 others that will say, no, we get to go first, or ours has got this other issue going with it. So it's a very competitive thing. I guess if I have any criticism in it, it's some of the past leadership we've had in the state of Illinois. We've gotten ourselves bogged down into great debates that don't seem to get anything accomplished, and we continue to spend a lot of money. And now to spend more money, I don't think anybody's quite sure where we're going to get the money. And when they tell me, well, we're going to raise marijuana or release marijuana and sell it for premium, and we're going to get a big tax off of it, that's all well and good. But as I suggested in my letter, you're going to have to take some of that tax and probably rebuild the mental health system in the state of Illinois, among other things, before you start going out and spending it on all kinds of other stuff. That's just my talk. But you're right on. I mean, the complexities of government today are just overwhelming, and you do the best you can, and I guess the old adage, the squeaky wheel gets the grease, and so I guess we're trying to be a squeaky wheel. Do you want to churn in on this?
Can I have an other? Can I go back to an other? I handed something out to all of you here today that I neglected to mention when I was given the city administrator update. And when you were talking about the complexities of government, it jogged my memory to say this is something that we produced this year for the first time. It's called our Budget in Brief. And it is an attempt to make things a little bit less complex, because we know that taking a look at a couple of 100-page budget document for the city of Batavia can seem a pretty daunting task. And so we've tried to summarize that information in a way that our citizens will find meaningful and informational. We also have included in there information about some of what the more major of our capital projects are this year, so that they know when they're going to expect to see construction going on around town and what thoroughfares might be interrupted because of that work. But more importantly, when they see the big numbers that are the part of what is our city government budget, they'll be able to tie those things to the very concrete things that are being produced as a result of that budget. So it's our first attempt at putting together a document like this. So we definitely welcome your feedback. If reach out to me or reach out to Chris Cudworth or reach out to Peggy Colby. The three of us primarily collaborated on the creation of that document. And so we will be publishing that tomorrow. Yes, Alderman Salvati?
Will this be available on the website?
On the website, on Facebook.
That's my next question. Is that
Yes, so everywhere there. And then also, if someone would like us to mail them a hard copy of it, they certainly can request a hard copy. We did not, in wanting to, save money, we didn't think that we would go and publish it this first time. But if we find that there's a good demand for it to be printed in a paper form and distributed in that manner, that's something that we'll consider in the future.
I'd like to shift gears and go back up to Fabian and 31. The one thing that I thought that I felt like was not in here was anything else about speed up there. Until they can redesign and re-engineer that intersection, I'd really like to push and keep squeaking about. I'd like to see the speed limit dropped on both legs of that until they do something. Because the cars that I've seen come down 31 on a tow truck, 3 or 4 at a time, I got to believe that most of that is speed related at the rates that are up there. And if we can slow them down and it's not as bad of an impact or lessens the chance for an impact if the speeds are lower until they can re-engineer that intersection and realign it, we got to do something. And more signs out there and flashing lights halfway across the bridge, I don't think are going to help. I think slowing it down will help more.
It's strange because it's 40 miles an hour going through the intersection, and you go a little further to the north and south, and it quickly becomes 35. Now, the engineers argue that the traffic has to go that speed to keep traffic moving. It doesn't seem to work for our community, though.
I don't know. I think if it stops, 20% of the accidents that are up there, if it takes a minute longer to get from one side of the bridge to the other, or from Fabian Parkway and Randall to Fabian Parkway and Kirk Road, and it saves somebody's life, it's worth it.
And I think it will help slow traffic down all the way through Batavia because they won't have the expectation. The first speed limit sign they see going into Batavia is 40 miles an hour. Mm-hmm. And so that's their mindset, I believe, as they're going south.
Yeah, I'm also going to squeak on this one, too. Because this one isn't, to like Susan's point about it being that it takes time for things to go. On most things, that's absolutely correct. But this is the most dangerous intersection in our community. It is where the police department has the most accidents. It's right up there with injuries, and we know it's a fatal intersection. Those things are known. So when we're talking about 2 and 3 years out on improvements on that intersection, that one bothers me because, and I guess it bothers me even more because it's not in our control. We can't do anything about it. So we sit there, watch it, like I did. We watch it, we clean up, but we can't do anything about the fixing it because we're motivated enough to try to make sure that we do get those things pushed in there to see some improvement on it. The concerns that are there about traffic staggering up, it's been said, but I haven't seen any traffic studies on that. I haven't seen any reports on that. And we have bridges all up and down the Fox Valley. If that was a concern, why are we not having rear end accidents on every bridge that's going across the Fox Valley? It's just not happening. People know, they're anticipating when you can see traffic stopping. The problem is the bank of that intersection, the way that it goes, you can't see it. So for me, and if I have my family with me, I'm not taking my life into my own hands. I will, if I'm at that intersection and it's not the green arrow, I'm sitting at that line, I'm not entering it. And if I guess then I'm artificially backing up that traffic, then so be it. But I'm not going to be one of those ones that's getting hit because I can't see. And I would say everybody else should do that. Don't enter the intersection. And yes, the speed limit is 45, but to Lucy's point, slow it down anyways. You know it's too fast. Most people know it's way too fast for there. If you've got to take some time and just go a little bit slower. Pay attention through there. I know the concern about seeing everybody saying the distracted driving. I don't see it in that intersection. I know it's in other ones. But I think if you were distracted on that bridge, maybe the distracted ones are avoiding the accident because all the people that are paying attention can't see. I'll climb off my soapbox now.
Good, we're all over a chance.
I'd like to go home, but I do have to add, just a point of clarity, it's actually not the most dangerous intersection in our community. It's up there.
The one by your?
The one by my house. I've got 3 of the worst intersections in the county in my ward. This is up there, but it's actually not. It's actually not the worst. What is it, Wilson and Randall? Isn't that actually the worst one?
McKee.
And like Mill,
Batavia and Fabian
McKee.
is usually one of our top 3 crash locations. But statistically, basically all the intersections along Randall Road, Fabian, Mill, McKee Street, Wilson and Main are right up there every year as well. And, by volume, we've had more fatal crashes along that stretch of road than they have on Fabian Parkway at Batavia Avenue.
Sure. It just feels like we pay a lot of attention to this particular intersection. And this might be something for a different committee meeting, but I feel like every time I'm driving home from work, especially when it is dark outside, the glow of cell phones that I see in the cars speeding next to me is substantial. And there could be an opportunity for public education or enforcement opportunities. There's 45,000 cars that go down the intersection. And granted, I'm not looking for a moneymaker or not looking, to write tickets or something, but raising public awareness on that issue alone has got to make a difference.
Anybody else on that one? Alderman Brown, I'd entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn. Second.
Moved by Alderman Brown, second by Alderman Vani. Clerk, take a voice vote.
All in favor?
Aye.